cats, cops, and C4. So when fighting a biped one-on-one, pay attention to either the torso or the eyes. The eyes will give away intent. The torso, however, shows all the movements required. Something like a quadruped or a nagasha on their tail, or anyone else with a massive lower body will have a much more stable lower body. But a quadruped is someone on all fours, right? Why would that be so different? Amy asks him, and Shank nods. You're thinking good. Now the reason for it is that due to the way the body of a quad is designed to move, means that the little movements you notice and instinctively understand on a biped will betray you. Calling them quads is offensive, Vera notes, and Shank slowly turns to look at her. What? I don't care, he says. It may not be the correct point of view to have, but a person that gets offended at a word is either looking to be offended or stupid. Either way, they should be offended, and if it wasn't assault, I'd follow it with a slap upside the head. How is it stupid? Amy asks. Think about it. Even if you were to limit it to a single level on a single spire, there is such melange of opinions, beliefs, experiences, and languages going around that if you start picking out what words might make someone feel bad, you'll pick a language dry in no time. Anyone that tries to insist on doing so is either trying some petty power play or is too stupid to gather further context from things. When I said quad, it was descriptive, understood, and the only person here who mentioned it might be offensive is clearly angling to get into some kind of petty fight. Shank explains, jerking his thumb towards Vera, who sticks her tongue out at him. Anyways, a quad has a very different center of gravity and instinctual reactions. Even their muscles are aligned differently, so you can't quite rely on it as much. Right, well, I've had enough of you being wrong. You might not have spent years fighting Panthros, Lopen, and Canadors that have trained to go on all fours. But I have. It's not the way you hold your limbs or the angle. It's the overall body profile. A Lopen, a Canador, a human, a Sunir. Heck, rabbis, the Drin and more are all very similar. Watch the face or the torso. One of them will give them away. Kylan stops him, and Shank gives her a questioning look. I'm not kidding. The movements you look for in a human are there in a Sunir and Dren, even the six-armed ones. Really? Yes, and so long as you remember to consider the lower body, beings like Wimperas, Arachna, and Archna of all types, and of course the Nagasha breeds follow similar principles, Kylan says. In general, if you have time to consider, it's easy to know what to do in a fight. The issue is that you don't have that time to consider. Everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. Chunk agrees and Vera nods. Yep, it's all going fine until you can smell their breath, Vera adds in before standing up with a stretch and arch to her back. You know, talking about things is one thing, showing is another, and doing is even better than showing. So how about we at least show her? Not so close to dinner. It's nearly finished, Gabriella states, and there's a knocking at the door to the mansion. Moments later, a notification comes up on Shank's communicator. Ah, right, they've intercepted some of Miss Big's nonsense. So do you mind if some of my co-workers quickly walk some trackers through the manor, shake them around a bit to simulate violence and then leave? Shank asks, and Gabriella just gives him a look. Then she sighs. If they wipe their grungy boots off first, Gabriella states, and Chunk snorts in amusement. Permission to let them in and through? A lap around the garden should be all they need, Chink asks, and Gabriella nods towards Amy. Oh, of course. Please show them through, Amy says, and Chunk stands up. Right, this shouldn't take more than a few moments. Don't wait for me. I'll be fine, he says as he starts moving through that building. The next set of knocking has started up when he opens the door. It's Modan and Private Stream. Hello, gents. The butler says to wipe your boots. With that, Modan jumps, and everything that can be construed as dirt falls off him, even as Private Stream stomps down, then back up the stairs. I suppose that'll do. How are you gents holding up? We're in the part of things where we shouldn't talk about anything even if we're completely sure we're not being listened to. Delicate stuff we don't want to jinx, Private Stream says, and Shank goes to refute the superstition. Then he turns to Modan. Actually, how real is jinxing? Shank asks. Real enough. If someone else is screwing with probability, we don't want to start adding to the numbers they can notice and use. Modan replies, I've already done a lot of nonsense with the numbers to make sure this goes off well enough. Being good is one thing, being good and lucky is another. That reminds me, Private Stream says before pulling out a clamshell case that expands to a small suitcase. This is for you. In case things go really weird out of nowhere, you're going to need firepower. He opens the case and grins. The newest model of caster gun. After several disasters, it had been determined that rapid firing the weapons wasn't wise, so they had been streamlined to be easier to use and more potent. He puts his thumb on the handle and the entire weapon glows for a moment before locking down. He can feel it reach out to him and confirm him. There are a few techniques built into the grip itself, mostly safety and anti-theft measures, but they could be specifically suppressed for a few moments to allow someone else to shoot it. I don't recognize the gray shells. My work, as you can see, there are 9 total and are numbered 1 to 3. Number 1 are the domino shells. They do no actual harm to any target, but they completely skewer probability so that no matter what happens, they're going to be pinned down and helpless in under a minute. Perfect for live capture, and if you hit the wrong target, they're not going to be so much as bruised. So don't be too concerned. And 2 is Calamity Shell. Useless against living targets, but it will destroy anything non-living in seconds. Its structure will fail and it will collapse in on itself in 30 seconds or less, without any harm to anyone in or around it. Damn. Last one, Catastrophe. Whoever you hit with it will fail in everything they do for 5 minutes. Again, it will do them no harm, but they won't even be able to stand without direct and substantial help. Modan explains, the gray shells are completely non-lethal to the last, but they're all game changers. These will be useful. Does Catastrophe also work on implants? Say a thermal bomb hidden in some bodily cavity? It does, but Calamity is useless against both a normal living person and any form of cyborg or synth. If you're shooting a person with one, you'll strip them naked at the worst. Good to know. Let's see. I have a null shot, 3 energy blasts, a gravity manipulation, and 2 of each thermal and cryogenic effect. No electrical? Too much metal in a place like Centris. It spreads far too easily. Fair enough, he replies before pulling out the holster and strapping it to his thigh. Private Stream kindly holds up the case as he does that. Then he pulls out the gun and examines it again. Side-loaded? More efficient than from the back. Slap it into the left side, it's ejected out the right as you put a new shell in. The latch just above it lets you manually open the chamber. Private Stream explains, and he pulls back on the tiny nub, and it opens wide enough for him to look clean through the weapon. Interesting. It's the closest we can get to rapid fire on a weapon like this. The basic axiom totems can't compensate like a living mind for the rapid shifts in the axiom that a revolver or semi-automatic version would create. It was always going to be a specialty weapon. Rapid fire was always going to be the area of adepts that are more using it as a shortcut. You're not an adept, so I go a little slower and with a greater focus on tactics. Good enough. He says, quickly storing all the ammo into a small case that came with the caster gun. He then slots it on his belt opposite of his holster. He checks it for a few moments, systematically pulling out each piece of ammo and putting it back. Good. Have fun, Private Stream says cheerfully. What's taking so long? Vera asks as she pokes her head around a corner to look at them. They were giving me a delivery as well, just in case, Cenk says, and she nods before coming around the corner. So, how many of the little ones are there? She asks, pointing to Private Stream. Yes, Private Stream answers. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. All right, that's enough. Modan says, giving Private Stream a push from the back. We've given up enough time as is. I may have probability over a barrel to work my wicked ways with it, but there's still a limit. Oh, who's this? Amy asks as they pass the kitchen. She trots out after them. Well, the smaller one is Private Stream, a sort of communal low-cover identity, shorter undaunted use. They use all sorts of tricks to get people to drop their guard. Hello, Miss Frosty, miss? Private Stream chimes cutely and Amy smiles. And this is, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name. She goes from smiling to sheepish. I am Modan Maji, an adept and researcher among the undaunted. If you're a researcher, why are you on the field? All but a few dedicated professionals are cleared for field duty, myself included. It keeps me strong and active, gets the mind whirling and churning to learn more. I see. And you both? I'm using my skills and Private Stream's expertise to interfere with Miss Big's plans against you. So we're taking a quick walk around the garden and making her think we're trying to do something. Then we're leaving. Modon says, and Amy considers, falling back as the two men are led to the back entrance to the gardens. They both move out and start walking around it in seemingly random patterns. So, is it always so weird what you guys do? Amy asks Chink as she catches up. To be fair, the weirdness only started after we left Cruel Space. We're not the crazy ones, the galaxy is. Exactly what a crazy person would say. Amy returns and he gives her a sideways look. She grins smugly up at him. Well, upside to you being a kiddo. You bounce back easily. Chunk remarks. Well, I mean, it's weird. I don't know. It slips away so quickly. You haven't learned to obsess yet. It kills your focus, but it lets you move on. Chunk says, what do you mean? You're very, very young. Your sense of time is non-existent. A day, a week, a year. They're mostly words. Your pain, while recent, is also long ago, meaning it still feels so... I mean, it was recent, but it also feels far away. Use that. Lean into it and it will dull the pain, Chink advises. Or do what I did in training. Push the past away and tackle every single day like it owes you something. Like it's the last chance you have to do anything. You can get a lot done that way. I learned languages, how to craft numerous weapons, how to fight, and how to build, maintain, and repair a cutting-edge spaceship. Isn't the Dauntless a big clunky ship with primitive parts? Only really powerful because there's so much of it and so many backups? Cutting edge for humans. Haha, you're primitive. Chunk says in a deadpan. What? Monkey joke. Monkey? What? Never mind. I suppose I should be grateful that as many jokes as I do get across actually do, with all the cultural drift in alien histories. Chunk notes as both Modon and Private Stream finish their laps through the garden and start heading to them. So, anything else you want to ask them before they leave? Why do you care so much? Amy asks, and Chunk is taken aback. Pardon? Why do you care so much? I'm a stranger. I shouldn't have ever meant enough to you for you to go as far as you have, to call in as much help as you have to help me. Why do you care so much? What, you think I could live with myself if I let some little girl die when I could have saved her? That I'm anywhere near enough of a twit to leave a job only partially finished? Oh no, Amy. The moment I came across you, I was in it to win it. As far as I'm concerned, letting you take so much as a scratch from any criminal is a complete and total loss. I'm going to keep you safe, because I chose to, because I want to, and because it's the right thing to do. I don't need any other reasons beyond that. And if I wasn't ordered to be here, I'd be taking my vacation time to be here anyways. You are safe, understand? She hugs him. Daw! Private Stream gushes as loudly and annoyingly as he can.